have a feeling whenever I do something, I feel happy. You see, this is you. Try that. Whatever you may have knowledge, you have. Sometime better economy, you may have better. Sometime you can have a kind words you can have. So if you use and make somebody's life happy, that you are giving, and his or her life is a happy, that's the best thing a human being can think of, that then you will get a conflict-free world. That's why I used to say where there is righteousness in the heart, there's beauty in the character. Where there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. Harmony in the home. Where there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there's peace in the world. Ultimate source of happy life is our inner value. So therefore, irrespective to whether believer or non-believer, whether believe religion or not, see, we should pay more attention about our inner value. Now scientists, according latest scientific findings, it now sort of clear even good health or healthy body. The healthy mind is very essential. More peaceful mind brings healthy body, because mind calm peaceful, then our healthy, our body sort of element also, you see, then remain more balanced. So that brings healthy body, and too much stress, too much worry, disturb our body element that creates certain sort of problems about this body. So therefore calm mind is very essential. I think you should realize the anger may bring some kind of energy, short moment, short period, but that energy is actually blind energy, and anger really destroy part of your brain which can touch this I'm right or wrong. So when we fully develop anger, we can't see the reality, so that energy more bold, but that energy is blinded by energy. So in order to face the problem, our method should be, as I mentioned earlier, realistic. In order to carry realistic method, you must know the reality. When we look the reality, when we think objectively. So in order to use human intelligence properly, our mind should be calm. So thinking this like anger, you see, firstly destroy your inner peace. Secondly, destroy your ability to investigate the reality. It's so, you think this line, then once you have clears of awareness, anger is no use, only destruction. We are social animal, we human being, social animal, and particularly in modern time, the reality economy environment, and many things heavily interdependent. That's the reality. Unlike, I think, past as the ancient time, more independent, self-sufficient. This say not depend your interest, not your interest, or your future not depend on other, now completely change. So even from this selfish viewpoint, you have to take care about others' well-being. You just think to yourself, the blind selfish think to yourself, forget other, or war thing, exploit other, cheating other, bully other. Ultimately you suffer through this mischievous way. You may gain some temporary sort of benefit, but in deep insight you feel uncomfortable. Then eventually you truly become lonely person. Nobody loves you, nobody respect you. If you take care other as a human brothers, sisters, sincerely, seriously, then everybody become your friend. So when you have truly trusted friend there, if you need something you can ask them. If you becoming friendless or lonely person, and when you really facing some problems, nobody you can share. So we are social animal, so even other animal, no law, no education, no religion, but you see they have some kind of sort of feeling, their own individual survival, depend on rest of the community or hers, so they work together. I one of the individual out of 7 billion human being, if human being rest of the human being, happy peaceful, I get maximum benefit, the rest of the world their trouble, how can I escape from that? And with that feeling, when I meet people or one people, or one person, or 10 people, 100,000, I always consider them as my brother, sisters, that brings me in mental level, completely relax. If I feel I'm something different from them, then some nervousness, some anxiety, may develop. So once your own way of thinking, open and reach out them as a close friend, that tremendous sort of benefit is your mind, then others also no longer feel stranger, another human brothers like that. So that I think we really nowadays, we really need that. So through that way awareness, then from children, I think youngsters, I think they know they just, one child remain lonely, may cry and play with other children, feel very happy. So that's a human nature. So sometimes we grown up, then we always calculate, if I make friendship with that, how much I get some benefit, or make friendship then I can exploit, or something. Then genuine basis of friendship, no longer there. Destroyed basis of genuine friendship is trust.
trust depend on openness. So through these things we can train, and then mental level, no matter what your physical level, busy but mental level, always calm, restful, relaxed, immense benefit for your health. So mental health, body health, very close link. So the ultimate source of mental health is warm-heartedness. That's my belief. Maybe wrong, my friend, have to research more. Research work. Then I think the best method to avoid fear or regret at the time of death is while we are alive. Our time, our energy must utilize meaningful way serving other. That's I most profoundest of way of usefulness. One all survival. Even animals also is can do, but for service to others is something unique about human being. I think a mother and child or offspring, the bond between mother, even other animals also have, but they're so that kind of close feeling, short period, but we human being, because of intelligence, that kind of feeling, we can prolong whole our life extend it through our life. So serving other people, helping other people is, I think, very, very appropriate sort of action according our intelligence, right, or human ability. We have such ability, so they utilize that ability in the most appropriate way. Most appropriate way is serving other people. Then at the end you feel no regret. I done my best, some useful sort of meaningful life now, and come, although sorry said, but no regret, seeing how actively you pursue mattering purpose. I wonder if any of that is tied up into getting to the other side of anxiety and depression. Yeah, that's we haven't even got to the depression part, but the part
The Baha'i faith has definitely inspired this idea that we rise to our maximum potential when we're of service to others, and not only our maximum potential, but our greatest usefulness, and living in that potential and usefulness gives us the most kind of rich human satisfaction. And I know for me, because I spent a long time when I first started getting famous, various points in time, just trying to satisfy myself and my ego, and I was miserable. In fact, they do studies on happiness, and this is part of mental health, is I'm sure you've had some happiness experts on, but there's so many books about it, and the whole field of positive psychology is a really exciting field. It just started in the 90s, and when I was going to college, there was no such field as positive psychology. Now there's thousands of books about it, and they're really exciting. But one of the things that is 100% true in positive psychology is irrefutable, that one of the worst ways to achieve happiness, contentment, whatever you want to call it, is through materialism. And yet we live in a culture that tells you over and over and over again, if you get this car, if you get this amount of money, if you have this amount of success, this amount of fame, this amount of a promotion, then you will be happy. You will achieve happiness once you get to that certain level. And yet the pursuit of like, I need to make $165,000 a year to be happy, or I need to own the new Tesla to be happy, or once I get this kind of girlfriend or spouse or whatever, then I'll be happy. The pursuit of kind of a materialistic view of happiness has an inverse effect. It decreases your happiness. It makes you less healthy. You can do, again, I don't have the exact specifics on the tip of my tongue. It's a simple Google search. And conversely, happiness, contentment, enrichment. I always talk about odonia. You've probably heard about that and talked about that before. I think we spoke about it before. The idea that the ancient Greeks had a word for happiness called odonia, which is human flourishing. And I love that umbrella concept, like what creates the largest human flourishing. Let's focus on that. Forget happiness, human flourishing. But from the big faith, from the study of positive psychology, helping others, being of service, maximizing how much you matter, actually is the number one cause of human flourishing. So when I kind of get into my, I'm not acting as much as I should be, or people only know me as Dwight, or I'll never have a career again, or I need X show to make X amount of money so that I can go on X vacation, or something. When I get into that whole stuff, which that comes and goes every week, it's kind of like, how can I be of service? How can I help people? How can I take the skills that God has given me, that nature has given me, and put those to their best possible use? So I let that be. I try and let that be a guiding light in my life. What's the best guidance for finding spirituality? Now, this is a question that people ask all the time, and it's actually not the kind of question that typically you find people who are, 12 or 13 years old asking. This is like kind of a 42 or 43-year-old person's question, or even older than that. It's funny because we leave behind our childish things, and we realize that things that perhaps earlier in adulthood we thought were childish aren't, and we have these ERS, and we don't know actually where to turn. So the answer to this is basically, it really comes from something that I learned from the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the leader of Tibetan Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, but it's very wise what he talked about. Think about the search for spiritual truths in 3 parts.
Number 1. Do the work to figure out what you believe ethically about life. What are your beliefs? What are your beliefs about what it means to be a good person? This is important because you actually can't find your spiritual self when you're living out of sync with your moral self. So figure out what that is. Write it down. Make a list of your actual beliefs about what a good person does. And then ask yourself, am I living according to that? Do the work on actually doing that self-examination. That's number 1. Number 2. Start a meditative practice. I don't mean meditate necessarily as a Christian. I pray every day. That's a meditative practice. Maybe you're somebody who likes to walk in nature before dawn for an hour without devices. That's your meditator practice. Maybe it is meditation, but you need something that's contemplative in your life. What is it? Start doing it. Start easy, 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. You don't have to do 3 hours a day. Do something that focuses you in a contemplative way. And last but not least, you need to read. You need to read more. There's so much great stuff out there that we're just passing up by scrolling our Instagram feeds, by wasting our time, by frittering away our attention. Take 15 minutes a day. And by the way, you're going to get so stuck on this that 15 minutes is not going to be enough. After a while, let's start with 15 minutes today and have a stack of things you've always wanted to read about the deeper varieties of life. What are the truths you've always wanted to know about? What are the books that you've always wanted to read? Maybe it's a novel that really has deep moral truths, like The Brothers Karamazov of Fodor Dovey. Maybe it's The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. Maybe it's The Bee. But just read 15 minutes a day of something like this. If you do those 3 things, examine your beliefs and write them down. Start a contemplative practice and read the books that you know are going to bring you deeper. Your life is going to start changing, and you're not going to have to look anymore because it's going to start to appear before you. Your spiritual truths, the life that you want. You know, when you're looking in a mirror, there's kind of 2 people there. There's the observer and there's the observed understanding. This is critically important to your happiness. It's not just a little fact that is kind of interesting. No. One of the biggest problems that we have is that we need both IS and me. You need to observe the world so that you can survive and thrive. But you need the me self so that you have an understanding of who you are in your place in society and in the world. You gotta have a self-concept. Well, the big problem is not that we can break ourselves into as in me self, that you're looking at your image in the mirror and you're being observed. The problem is that we overweight the me self, that we're observed too much. There's too much consideration in our lives about people seeing us and what we think about other people think about us. You get my point, don't you? This has made all the worse with social media and all the modern communication techniques in which it's easy to look at your notifications. It's like a big mirror in front of you all the time. What do you need? What do I need? What do we all need? More I-self, more observation to take in the world without judgment. Now what do I say? Do we need more of that? Well, to begin with, I'd be probably a better person if it weren't all me-self, but more to the point, for how to build a life. My call in the Atlantic. You'll be happier if you do. There's a lot of research that shows that when you're observing something at some remove, that your happiness
rises and your anxiety falls. In contrast to when it's all me-self, when you're the one who's observed your emotions yo-yo around all over the place, depending on whether or not you have a perception that the me-self is positive or the me-self is negative. You're being managed by the me-self. You manage the I-self. Do you want to be in control? Well, the question is, how are you going to do that? How are you going to be more observer and less observed? Well, there are a few ways to think about this. Number 1, get mirrors out of your life. I'm not asking you to toss out all your mirrors. Put them out by the curb on garbage day. You need something for me. Well, I was going to say to shave in. Obviously, I'm not worried too much about that. But we want to actually be able to look in the mirror from time to time. The problem is, literally or metaphorically, there are too many mirrors in our lives. What I literally recommend is getting rid of all but maybe 2 or 3 mirrors in your whole house. Something else you can do is get rid of the metaphors for the mirrors, like on social media. Turning off your notifications make it harder to see your reflection or your virtual reflection. All human good qualities concern. We all have the same, so I always make stress in order to achieve happy life. There is no point to neglect about our inner good qualities such as human affection, sense of concern, sense of care, and sense of community, and sense of responsible as a part of the community. And then I feel the sense of affection that's, I think, foundation of all other good qualities. So the affection, actually, biologically speaking, the affection is something I think the foundation to survive our life. So I often is telling people, for example, my own case, first teacher of compassion to me, my mother. As soon as I born, my mother take fullest care, and I survived to my mother's milk. I think this birthday, I think today now 71-year-old, this actually I think built on the mother's care, mother's milk, and I still feel the impact deep in my mind from mother's affection. I think still remain there. So sometimes we forget that, and sometimes we take for granted. So I think that's mistake. We should not neglect that. We should not forget that. We must make effort to sustain this values, inner values. Then your life will be more happier. Once your own attitude towards other, more affectionate, more warm-heartedness and respect and friendly sort of attitude, then others' response also similar. Usually sometimes not so. Therefore the friendly atmosphere must create by ourself. I think it is illogical ourself remain self-extreme, self-centered, selfish and don't care about other me time want friendly atmosphere. This is illogical. Wealth important but friendship more important. You may be poor but surrounding warded people feel very happy even on the bed of hospital, very pain sick but surrounded by loving people and those doctors, nurses with more smile you feel very happy, much happier. Or some cases you see doctors or nurses treat you as in machine, without my smile, or then sometimes feel a little worry or anxiety. So the friendly atmosphere is very, very important. So during study school age, I think from the day of birth until the last day death, I think human connection is the key thing for meaningful life, for happy life. So should not consider the compassion or affection as something religious subject or religious matter. Usually if many people get the impression compassion, forgiveness, love, loving kindness, these things consider as religious subject. Therefore those people who have no interest about religion, no faith religion, and they also negative on these things, that's Mr. I find that if you're doing the work to learn to love yourself, that process and that skill helps you learn to love someone else. Let me give an example. Like if I'm learning to love myself, it means I have to get to know my dark side. It means I have to get to know my flaw. It means I have to get to know parts of myself that make me feel uncomfortable. Now if I recognize that I have all of that in me, now when I meet someone else, I'm not surprised when they have it in them because I've already seen it in myself. And I think often if we think, oh, like I'm going to meet someone and they're not going to have any issues or they're not going to have any challenges, it's partly because we haven't necessarily worked through our own. And so I think if your trauma is more visible to you, if your pain and your stress of the past is more visible to you, you're actually better at being compassionate to someone else's because you can see it's something that connects us. We're living in a world of trying to project our version of a perfect partner onto our partner, and we're trying to mold them and curate them and build them up to be this person that we think will make us happy, and what we don't realize is that fake version we have won't make us happy, and us trying to mold them is not going to make them happy, and you actually push someone away. So I actually feel like if anyone ever feels like someone's trying to change them, you potentially push them away because they feel threatened, they feel scared, they feel not good enough. And so you're actually creating an unworthy feeling in your partner by saying you could be this or should be this. And I think we have this, I break it down in the book as being the difference between relationship roles we play. So I talk about how there's 3 relationship roles that everyone plays, and everyone who's listening or watching, you know which one you are. So the first is the fixer. Some of us get our self-worth from fixing other people's problems. We don't fix our own, we're not working on our own, but we feel better when we find a partner that feels like a project. We feel, oh, I'll teach them, and I'll build them up, and I'll make them wear nice clothes, and I'll make sure he or she gets a nice job, or they break through in their career, because we get our self-worth through thinking we can fix other people. It's really warped to that degree, but we play that role, and often when we play that role, we tire our partner out because they feel unworthy, or we feel upset at ourselves and them because they didn't take our advice. So then we end up saying things like, well, I put so much effort into you and you don't want to be better, and we think it's their fault that they haven't grown, but they never showed you they wanted to grow. So if you're the fixer, I just want you to be really conscious about that role and say, okay, I've tried to fix people, it doesn't work. Let me use that energy to serve myself, to find my own self-worth in a different direction, and now let me approach this relationship differently. The second role we play is the dependent. So the fix is like a parent. The dependent is like a kid. You walk in and you hope that your partner's just going to take care of you. They're going to cradle you. They're going to embrace you. They're going to take all your problems away, right? We want a problem solver. We want a fixer. And we walk in, we go fix all my issues. You're in charge. You're the best. A few years later, sometimes it's decades later, that person goes, I lost myself in the relationship, not realizing that they didn't know who they were in the first place. They let the other person take the lead, and now that person's lost. So even when you're the dependent and then you start feeling, why you always telling me what to do? Oh God, right? Because then he goes, why you always telling me what to do? But we set them up to play that role, so let's take the responsibility and become supporters. A supporter says, I'm going to help you become who you want to be, and you're going to help me become who I want to be, because support is not about me projecting my goals onto you. Support is about me helping you get to where you want to go, and that is the healthiest role to play in a relationship.